Well, to Cyprus now, where it's been reported that people with over 100,000 euros in their country's biggest bank are likely to see a large proportion of their savings wiped out. Investors will be offered shares instead of cash. That's under the terms of the EU bailout deal, which are set to be announced on Saturday. For a second day, Cypriots queued for money as banks opened following an emergency two-week shutdown. Capital controls have effectively quarantined the island state from the rest of the Eurozone. Well, for more on this now, let's talk to Daniel Wagner, CEO of Country Risk Solutions, a risk advisory firm who joins us now live for us here on RT. What do you think? Are these shares actually worth anything they're going to be given?
That remains to be seen. If the bank can pull a rabbit out of a hat and somehow make what appears to be near worthless shares somehow very valuable, then I suppose these depositors have some hope that they'll be receiving some of their money back. But at this point in time, that doesn't look very likely.
And if that's the case, then, once these capital controls are relaxed or completely removed, won't people just take their money and run?
Well, that certainly would be the average person's inclination. The Cypriot government, of course, is putting restrictions in place to try to prevent that from happening. You know, in my mind, this has a larger issue, and that is, what is the crisis of confidence that's going on now, not only in Cyprus, but throughout much of Europe? What's gone on over the last week in Cyprus has created really a crisis of confidence throughout the entire European continent. And we're at a turning point now where, if this can somehow be properly managed and people have some degree of confidence in the process, fine. Then maybe all of this can be kept together. But if not, then this could really be a slow, steady deterioration throughout the continent about the value of the average bank deposit.
Well, indeed, and this, or could this be used as a blueprint for future bailouts?
Indeed, it could. Part of the problem now is that we've sort of reached a turning point, and that turning point is the bailout. Is the bailout going to be the tool of choice for action going forward? Are there any more options left? Can bailouts continue ad infinitum? Are they valuable still in terms of preventing a further deterioration? It seems at this point in time, the Germans and some of the other creditor countries are running out of steam. And in that regard, Cyprus could indeed be the turning point where Europe has to ask itself some very uncomfortable and fundamental questions.
I mean, you mentioned confidence earlier. I mean, how can the EU win back the trust of world markets and investors and people with their money in their banks?
It may already be too late. If you're a depositor in Spain or in Italy, for example, what is the likelihood that you're going to have some degree of confidence that your deposit is going to be safe, or as safe as it was perceived to be a month ago? I don't think that's very high at all. And that raises fundamental questions about the larger banking system around the world. If it can happen in a country like Cyprus, if this de facto expropriation of funds can occur, and that's in essence what this is, in a place where the rule of law applies, that's in the center of Europe, where in theory can it not happen? That's a question a lot of people would be asking themselves at this point in time.
And will public discontent rise as a result? I mean, could we see riots, violent scenes even?
In many respects, this is the untold story here. People haven't really been focused so much on the social, the political consequences of some of these economic actions. And what's happening now is the rise of the far right in many parts of Europe has only in some respects taken off. It's been very strong in a country like Greece with Golden Dawn, and in a country like Switzerland, where nearly a third of the popular vote in the most recent election went to the far right. This type of action that we're seeing in Greece, in Cyprus now, and in Greece, is only going to fuel the fire, is only going to prompt more people, in my estimation, to run to the far right, to become more nationalistic, and to become more close-minded about the options that they would consider for their future.
OK, Daniel Wagner, we'll leave it there now. CEO of Country Risk Solutions, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you.